Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast. It's your host, Jeff Farrell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi. We are coming at you live on YouTube or in podcast form, like always. New feature here with our YouTube channel up and running. Just search for the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button while you're there, and feel free to follow along with us in real time. Normally go live around 7 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday nights. So check us out there. Enough of that. This week, we have a very special guest joining us. He was generous enough to grace us with his presence for an episode last season, actually the first ever guest on the podcast. So for our longtime listeners of the show, you may remember him. All he did when he came on the show was give out a winner for NFL Head Coach of the Year and Kevin Stefanski at like 22-1 odds, a bet that I openly mocked him for on the show. So without further ado, we welcome the one, the only, Dave Varallo. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you guys very much for having me on. That's a great introduction. I remember that day fondly when you tried to bash me for my Browns love, and look where we ended up today. But it's great to be back on with you guys. Excited to get into week 7.
Yes, absolutely. And just to let everyone know, the dynamic here, the three of us are, so Dave's my younger brother, Rue's our cousin. We have a text chain where the three of us are basically talking about betting 24/7. Rue and I are usually on complete opposite sides of everything. We're yelling and screaming at each other's throats nonstop. Dave is sort of the calming presence in the group. He's able to take a step back, let things unfold, and prevents a very nice balance to the two of us. So I think we're going to have some good chemistry here in the show. So without further ado, we will dive into the recap from last week, recapping week 6. Our debate of the week went to me. A 3-game win streak. Seahawks plus 4.5 comes home. This may have been my favorite debate of the week. Rue was so confident, he actually proclaimed this as a win in the second quarter, sending me a text message thanking me for allowing him to do this debate. And just to put a cherry on top of everything, not only did he lose the debate, he also got a great line. He got 3.5. This closed at like 5.5. And he still lost on the bet, too. It was the double whammy. I love that game. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'll be touching on that one shortly.
Okay. All right. More to come on that. See if you can snap your 3-game losing streak. Actually, we do not have a debate of the week this week. We did not find a side that we were on opposite of. So we're going to skip that. So I will keep my 3-2 record heading into week 8.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the bye weeks or there's a few large spreads on the board too. There just wasn't a ton that jumped out to me this week.
Yeah, it's tough with all the large spreads. I mean, are you really going to back the Texans at 17.5 or like the Cardinals at -7? Like, I don't know, it's hard to do with the big spreads, I think.
Yeah.
Favorite bets of the week: Browns -3. Rue went down in flames. How are you feeling during that game?
Look, I started getting a little worried later in the week because, Chubb was obviously ruled out, but
we did not know that when we recorded the podcast.
And then when I had both their starting tackles get ruled out too, which was unexpected as well. So regardless, I don't know if it matters because they were just outplayed in every aspect of that game. And it just seemed like later in the week, every podcast I listened to, every article I read, every single person was on the Browns. And I was just like, it's not going to hit. It's not going to hit. So I don't listen to any podcasts or anything until after we record this. So I don't really know where everyone's at. And when I heard that, I was like, all right, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I thought they had a little bit of life when they caught that Hail Mary at the end of the first half, but it was not to be.
Yeah, I guess it's time we start believing in the Cardinals here.
Yeah, they're only like 7-0.
Yeah, and they've had
whatever it is. So
some good wins too. I mean, it's hard to dispute it. A lot of times you can say schedule or whatever, but they blew out the Rams, blew out the Browns. So look out for the Cardinals.
Yep. So you dropped to 3-2-1 on your favorite bets of the week. I am up to 4-2. I proclaimed it National Ricky Seals Jones Day last week, and boy did he come through, smashing the over 31.5 receiving yards. I will touch on that a little bit later. Long shots of the week. So this one, I don't really know how to grade this.
Yeah.
So we had James Robinson over rush yards on the Jags money line. So his line opened at 68.5. So it kind of depends on when you got the parlay. I actually put it in at 74.5 and Jags money line. So I missed it by 2 yards. So depending on where you got this, you may have won it. We did get the Jags money line. I think we get some credit for that. We backed the worst team in the league on a 20-game losing streak, and they came through outright. So that was a very fun game to kick off the week in London.
That was awesome. What a great way to start Sunday. I mean, I was here screaming my head off at a freaking Jaguars and Dolphins game at 9:30 on a Sunday morning. That was
so tilting. Every time the Jaguars took a lead, it was like, oh, how are they going to blow this lead? How are they going to let the Dolphins back in? It was awesome. Prop sheet goes 6-3 on the week, up to 26-18 overall. McLaurin got a little banged up, so we kind of like the over on him just because we got a discount, but it didn't look like he was fully healthy. Zeke got 2 carries from inside the 2-yard line and couldn't score. And great call by you, Rue, on Larry Roundtree. Unfortunately, it was voided because he did not get an offensive snap, but you nailed the analysis. So what can you do?
Yeah.
Chalk Donkey Parlay. We're getting close to changing the name of our podcast to the Chalk Donkey Parlay Podcast because it hasn't missed since we started it. 3-0 on the year. Chiefs, Rams, Bucks, Moneyline Parlay all comes home at plus money. I don't know what else to say. We're just going to keep doing them.
Complete experts we are here, just throwing all these favorites in a parlay.
Bet the biggest favorites, money lines, and parlay them all together.
You cannot get these picks anywhere, let me tell you.
That's what the people come here for. All right, let's kick it off with our Heroes and Zeros of the Week segment. Dave, I'll bring you on here. Give us your hero of the week for week number 6.
Yeah, so my hero is not a human being, but rather the wind. And Rue, you will maybe feel this one a little bit more, but the wind game. All week, all we heard about Browns Cardinals was going to be the wind game, the weather game. That narrative, I heard it pushed everywhere and anywhere. Nick Chubb gets ruled out. Spread doesn't move. Stays at Cardinals +3 because of the wind. Everyone thought it was going to be Cardinals weren't going to be able to move the ball. Kyler's not going to be able to do anything. They can't rely on their run game. Browns defense are going to be able to keep them at bay. Everyone's on the Browns, like you said. I said that's just too much. The wind can't possibly have that much effect on this game.
Wait, still so the lack of wind? The lack of wind is your winner of the week?
No, my winner of the week is everyone thinking that the wind game narrative gave me a great line on the Cardinals all week. Right before the game, I looked at it. It was 20-mile-an-hour winds. I said, Cliff Kingsbury, I know he was out the last week with COVID. Kyler's a professional quarterback. He's ready for this. I know he'll be able to perform. And as it turns out, the Browns are out there throwing Hail Marys all game. It had no effect on it whatsoever. So I was able to snag the Cardinals at a great money line odds right before the game started. So shout out to the wind game narrative. That is my hero of the week.
I think everyone probably got a little too carried away from those 2 games in Cleveland last year where there actually was an insane amount of wind, but that doesn't mean that every game in Cleveland where there's a little bit of wind is going to be played in a hurricane. So,
and I don't think we've had a game like that yet. The weather game has not really come into effect. So I think everyone was so eager to jump on that.
The Bucks Patriots game was a little bit, but we didn't really know that was coming until 20 minutes before kickoff. I remember Rue was texting us there's supposed to be rain all game out of nowhere. So.
And you still didn't take the under with me.
I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. I didn't know it was going to be torrential downpour. I just thought, all right, it's going to rain a little bit. Brady will be fine moving the ball. He wasn't. All right, Rue, hero of the week. Go ahead.
Easy, man. Matthew Wright, Jaguars kicker. What I didn't know is the Jaguars didn't make a field goal before that game, which was the most astounding stat I've ever heard in my life. But Matthew Wright shows up and puts his big boy pants on and hits 2 50-plus yard field goals, one a game winner. So Matthew Wright, my hero of the week.
That one that curved into the goalpost, that was one of, outside of the Justin Tucker kick from earlier this year and maybe Jake Elliott to beat the Giants, that was one of the greatest kicks I've ever seen just because of the trajectory of the ball. It was it defied odds.
I think I looked away as soon as that was going off to the right, and then I look back and it's in between the uprights.
Yeah.
Well, the announcer said it as soon as the kick went up. He's like, and this one's wide right. Oh no, it went in actually. Awesome. All right, my hero of the week, none other than my guy, the Seal. Arf. Ricky Seals-Jones. When that ball went up in the air and he came down with it for a 39-yard touchdown, it was as close to heaven on earth as I think I've ever felt. Why I see him get off the line of scrimmage. I know he's going in that direction. Heineke throws the ball, and it's just time stops. Cash the over. Got the touchdown on that play. threw it in a nice parlay with DeAndre Swift, a little late game magic from him. Came down with a nice parlay. And it was even better because it was like Taylor Heineke didn't even sniff 200 yards. And Ricky Seals-Jones still hit the over by like 25 yards. It was fantastic. 4 for 58 and 1. Ricky Seals-Jones, my hero of the week.
Quick note on DeAndre Swift. I am pretty sure he's catched his receiving overs like every game in the fourth quarter on one of the final 2 drives. I'm not kidding.
They're like only allowed to throw it to him in garbage time.
Exactly.
No. All right, Dave, what's your 0 of the week?
My 0 of the week is, again, a collection of people, but coaches going for it on 4th down in their own territory. I don't know what is happening in the NFL right now, and I'm a big, go for it on 4th down. I get what the analytics say. It's an offensive league right now. You're supposed to go for it on 4th and short. But in the last couple weeks, I feel like we're seeing these ridiculous calls. Rue, you touched on it last week. Great call with the Chargers about their 4th down luck was going to go the opposite way eventually. They go for it 4th and 1 on their own 19 when they're down. They're down 24-6 at this point, granted, but it essentially sealed the game. There was no coming back from that. The Lions have 4th and 1 on their own 26, only in a 7-0 game in the second quarter. They go for it. And then later in the game, they're down 27-0, and they kick a field goal from the Cincinnati 7 team. So I don't know what we're doing there. And lastly, the Broncos had 4th and 2 on their own 37 in a 10-7 game in the first quarter. And Teddy Bridgewater throws an interception. So I don't know what we're doing there. I think the pendulum has swung way too far in the direction of going for it 4th and short, no matter where you are on the field. So that is my 0 of the week. I'd like to see that scaled down maybe a little bit when you're inside of your own 40.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like you were watching a Madden game at times. Like when the Chargers lined up for that 4th and 2 at their own 18-yard line, like I couldn't believe what I was watching. You can't give the ball to the other team in the red zone unless you're like down 20 in the 4th quarter or something. I get it. But like the game was not out of hand at that point. Like that was just absurd.
I think Brandon Staley feels like he's almost backed into a corner with the way the defense has been playing. So he almost feels like he's better off. But
you're not going to help him out by giving the Ravens the ball at the 18-yard line.
No,
like,
I agree.
A chance to stop them.
I agree. You got to punt it away, and maybe you get some turnover luck or something. I'm with you.
You're not even giving him a chance at that point. All right, Rue, what do you got for 0 of the week?
Yeah, week 7, I think the Steelers have been a part of my 0 of the week, like 7 out of the 7 weeks. But
because you keep betting on them.
Mike Tomlin, Keith Butler, Ben Roethlisberger, those 3. So first half, my God, this game should have been over. Come out in the second half, same game plan, shut down the offense like you've been doing. You're fine. Walk out with an easy win. No, they come out, drop the safeties back because Mike Tomlin said at halftime he thought they were going to come out and try to get it to Lockett and Metcalf, but Pete Carroll said we got to run the ball. So knew I was in trouble at that point. So they come out, drop the safeties, drop the coverage off, basically just allow them to run right down the field on the first drive of the second half, take all the pressure off Geno Smith, let them come back in this game. And then on the offensive side, I've never seen an offense run more plays, like run the ball against more 8 and 9 man boxes. For God's sake, Ben Roethlisberger, call an audible. Like, have some pride. They're daring you to throw it every single time.
He doesn't want to throw it. That's the point.
They keep showing the view behind the line of scrimmage, and it's everyone is in the box, and they run a freaking halfback dive or off tackle every play, and Najee has no chance. It was so frustrating. I just need to swear off betting the Steelers because I don't think I can take it anymore. Thank God they're on a bye week.
I was going to say, good news. I don't think you'll be betting on them this week, so you got that going for you.
Give me a week to regroup, and I'll be back on them next week.
Yeah, perfect. My 0 of the week was a pair of 2 of the dumber coaches in the league. No coincidence. They both happen to coach in the NFC East. Nick Sirianni and Joe Judge cost me 2 of the most painful bets of the season last year. Bucks -6.5. Eagles score with 6 minutes left to go down 28 to 20. What?
Last week?
Yeah,
you said last year. I got confused.
Oh, sorry. Last week, not going that far back. Last week, the Eagles scored, make it 28 to 20, went for 2 instead of kicking the extra point, which analytics Twitter will try to tell you it makes sense from the analytics, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Because if you're going to go for 2 there, why wouldn't you just go 2 for 2 every time you score? Like the only reasoning I've heard is because, well, then you could potentially win the game if you score another touchdown and you make it. Like, isn't that true of every single touchdown? Anyway, there was like 800 events in the last 5 minutes of that game that cost Bucks -6.5 to win. And then Joe Judge comes out, scores the first touchdown of the game with 5 minutes left to go down 38-9. He is down 29 points. And this donkey decides to go for 2 when I have the under 48.5. Of course they get it, and the under loses by a half a point on a 2-point conversion. 2 of the most painful bets of the entire year, thanks to 2 of the dumbest coaches in the NFC East.
All right.
Awesome. All right, that'll conclude our heroes and zeros of the week. Rue, do we have a Tansy's tip of the week?
Nah, nothing again.
I can't with this guy. I swear we talk about a tip of the week every week. And
Did we talk about something this week?
We did. I'm pretty sure we talked about something. And then every week I get on the show and you're like, nope, don't have a tip.
I gotta write this down or something then. We talk a lot. I guess I forget things.
All right, I have a tip of the week. All right, we don't need to go into a full analysis here, but we were just going to talk about paying for picks.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like a lot of people on Twitter have been starting a VIP service, charging for their picks and all this stuff. We just wanted to say that since day one of the podcast, everything that we've done has been 100% free. Not trying to brag here, but we've been telling people to follow us on the Action Network. We put our profiles up on our Twitter page recently. I am legitimately, again, not trying to brag, I'm legitimately up 70 units on the NFL season. Like, I feel like me and Rue have been absolutely crushing the analysis, absolutely crushing the betting this season. So it just seems kind of silly when these people are charging you hundreds of dollars to pay for their VIP and then sell you their picks when there's plenty of incredible free picks out there on Twitter, on podcasts, on YouTube. Follow us. I think you're going to have a ton of fun. I think you're going to make some money. Don't pay for any of these picks. Most of them are just absolute frauds. Rue, anything you want to add?
Some of these people are doing their handicapping and work and stuff, but a lot of people are just throwing in plays like that, or they're pulling off the internet or throwing together parlays. They never pay anyone for parlays. I've seen a few people start VIPs. Not going to name anyone, but they're off like long shot parlays and stuff. Absolutely absurd.
Yeah, like all of our bets are like they're straight bets. I think I hit one parlay last week. I hit the biggest one all season. It was plus 10 units. But like outside of that, that's basically been the only parlay I bet this season. This isn't like, oh my God, I hit one long shot to win 5,000 and now I'm going to be up 50 units all season and then just lose money for the next 12 weeks. Like, we're winning consistently every single week.
Yeah, we would much rather pay for like research tools and things like that. Like, there's a few sites we subscribe to and stuff rather than, paying for picks and stuff like that. And like Jeff said, just follow us on the Action Network app. You can see all our picks. We're 2 different styles of betting, so you can kind of take a little bit from both of us on there and, tail whatever picks you want.
And listen to this fine podcast. All right, with that said, let's get into our picks right now. Teams on a bye this week. We have 6 of them. The Bills, Cowboys, Chargers, Steelers, Vikings, and Jaguars on a bye. With that said, let's jump to Thursday Night Football. We have the Denver Broncos against the Cleveland Browns. Browns are now down to around 1.5 2-point favorites. Over-under has been bottoming out. We're at 41.5 right now. I don't know if there's any team in the league that could use a bye week right now, quite like the Cleveland Browns, and they don't get one until week 13. We have Baker Mayfield is out, so Case Keenum's going to start. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are out. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is out. OBJ is questionable. And the Broncos also have some injuries as well. We already know about the receiving corps banged up. Teddy Bridgewater is not officially ruled in for this game. I would expect him to play, but honestly, at this point, anyone could be ruled out because it seems like every 30 minutes we get news that some player isn't playing. Dave, what do you got here on Thursday night? This seems to be an ugly game. Do you have a lean from a betting perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just reading off the injury report gives you a pretty good tell of where we're going to be going on this one, but I'm all over the Broncos. Whatever the spread is, basically, I think right now it's plus 1.5 sitting at on FanDuel. I still like it there. I know we all got it higher, around 3.5, 5, 6, I think even. So I love the Broncos. I don't see how Case Keenum can. I just don't see him stepping into this offense with no weapons, no running game around him to speak of. Not sure about OBJ's status. Not that he's been a huge positive for that team overall anyway. But one of my favorite bets on this game, I'm not sure what the number is right now, but the Browns team total, I got it at under 23.5. This was before Baker was even ruled out, and I liked it there. I don't think Baker is a good enough quarterback right now to be thriving without that run game. You saw it last week, even without the presence of Nick Chubb, makes just a huge difference in his whole game plan. He's hobbled by that shoulder injury. Seems like he's less likely to run the ball as he was in previous years. So give me the Broncos spread, and I love the Browns team total under. I think even now, if you can get it anything under 21-20, I would still take that.
Yeah, so Jeff, David, I don't know if you got the +6, but Jeff and I locked in +6 last Sunday when Baker showed up at his post-game press conference in a sling, and it went down pretty quickly. So we're sitting pretty at +6, and then I also locked in a Broncos money line today at +130 after Baker got ruled out. So yeah, just with the injuries, and Jeff, two guys I don't even know if you mentioned were Jack Conklin and Jedrick Willis, both the Cleveland's left and right tackles are.
It's a long injury report. I didn't get to everyone.
Most likely not going to play. The pass rush has definitely been an issue for Cleveland's offensive line, especially when those two guys were out last week. Von Miller already said he's out to kill someone this week. So I think the Browns offense is in trouble. So Broncos +6 sitting here right now. I mean, I wouldn't play it anymore just because I feel like all the value sucked out of it. But, if I were to pick a side, it would still be the Broncos.
Yeah, I'd still take the Broncos to win. I'm kind of with you guys. I have basically every combination of Broncos doing good things, Browns not scoring, the under, the team total under, all that good stuff. I think if you're going to make like same game parlays for this, I think putting the Browns team total under, stuff like that is certainly in play. From a prop standpoint, I honestly could not find anything I liked here. I tried really hard to just find like a prop I could get behind, and I really have absolutely nothing here. Did you guys have anything on props?
Nope.
I looked at the Broncos running backs, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon props, but they're so, they seem to be splitting the backfield pretty evenly. They're rushing props 49.5 and 40.5. It's just too difficult to tell, and they seem to both be hovering around that same range. If by any chance Case Keenum does end up playing, I would lean more towards those props. I think they would lean on the run game more in that. Not Case Keenum. If Teddy Bridgewater is out, I would lean more on those running backs. But I think if Teddy's in there, it's a prop stay away from me and just play those totals.
Yeah, I feel like this is a dangerous game where you're going to want to have some props and get some bets in because it's Thursday Night Football, but it's really tough to make a case for anyone here.
You could take a flyer if you get one of these receivers and especially a longest reception type thing, because Case Keenum's a guy who will come in and throw it downfield. And same if Bridgewater does. I don't know. I think Bridgewater's going to play, but if he did end up getting ruled out, Drew Lock's not shy of throwing it downfield either. But those would just be kind of flyer plays. Nothing I would feel too strongly about.
All right, let's move on to Sunday. We have the Bengals and the Ravens up next. Ravens are 6.5-point home favorites. The over-under here is going to be 47. Interesting schedule spot here. Ravens actually on their third out of 4 straight home games. Bengals on their second of 3 straight road games. We have Latavius Murray. Sounds like he's probably going to miss. I think he's listed as questionable, but it's likely going to be a combination of Devontae Freeman and Lev Bell in the Ravens backfield. And their starting tackle, Ronnie Stanley, is actually out for the season as well. So the Bengals do have a little bit of an advantage in the trenches. I am leaning that way here. I have not pulled the trigger yet. I'm trying to wait and see if we can get a 7. Right now, the line is held pretty steady at 6 and 6.5. So if I can get a 7, I'm going to be in on the Bengals. If it does hang at 6.5, I will probably jump in on Sunday as well. I think this is a little bit too many points for a divisional matchup, and I think the Bengals offense can hang with the Ravens. Rue, do you have any bets in here?
Yeah, I'll probably take the Bengals if it gets to 7. Right now, I have a under 47.5. That's the play for me here. Bengals dead last in pace right now. Ravens are 22nd in pace. Bengals have played 5 of 6 to the under. Ravens 3 and 3 to the under. Sorry, 5 out of 6 have gone under. Ravens have the number 5 defense on third down. Bengals are middle of the pack on third down. I got stats out the wazoo here to support this under. I won't bore you anymore. Under 47.5. That's my play here.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm riding the Bengals as well. I was able to catch a +7 early early this week, so feeling pretty good about that. I am a little bit afraid just looking at the history of these two teams. Their last 5 games have gone to the Ravens by an average of 20 points, and especially the last 2 were absolute blowouts. So it makes me a little bit afraid, but I still think the Bengals are being undervalued. What Joe Burrow is doing there, the Jamar Chase connection has just been incredible. I'd like to see what his prop comes out at his longest reception. No matter what it is, he has hit it every single game this season, so I would look to something like that.
They can't make it high enough at this point.
Seriously, I mean, it's incredible what they're doing. And I think the Ravens are on a bye coming up soon. Might be a look-ahead spot for them. I just don't think the Bengals are getting enough of the public trust here. That spread should be lower to me in the divisional game.
I agree. I didn't really have what. Go ahead.
Would it surprise you if the Ravens showed up and blew them out here, though?
No,
not by the way they played so far. I just think the Bengals are still being undervalued enough, and I like the number at 7.
It wouldn't surprise me if the Bengals won outright.
No, I could see. Yeah, I'm with you. I just feel like there's so many ways this game could play out, honestly.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. The range of outcomes that I could certainly see a double-digit Ravens win or a close Bengals win for sure.
The only thing it can't do, though, is go over 47.5.
Yeah, it could. I can see that. Jamar Chase gets a deep bomb. I don't know. Did you guys have any other props other than the Jamar Chase over longest reception? We do not have them posted for this game, but I didn't really have any looks here. Couldn't really find any advantages in the matchups when I was looking through it.
Nah, nothing for me.
Nope.
All right, let's kick it off to our next game. We have the Carolina Panthers taking on the New York Football Giants. Giants are 3-point home underdogs. Over-under is at 43. This game is probably going to be ugly. It kind of seems like Sam Darnold fell off a cliff the second Christian McCaffrey went out. They also have Terrace Marshall questionable. May get Stephon Gilmore back this week for the Panthers. He's practicing. We're not sure when he's going to make his season debut. And then the Giants basically still have injuries to every skill position player on the roster. Kenny G, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton. I haven't really heard official word on any of them. I would assume that most of them are probably going to miss. It sounds like Toney and Kenny G are still another week away, and I would imagine they would keep Saquon out of precaution. What do you guys got here, Dave? I'll send it to you first. Do you have a play on this game?
I'm going with the Panthers here. I don't have the most trust in Sam Darnold right now. They showed a little bit of life against the Vikings in the second half last week. We know they had a pretty bad game against the Eagles in the second half, but I can't back the Giants. There's nothing about this Giants team that makes me want to pick them, almost no matter what the number is. Daniel Jones especially, he is just I can't bet on Daniel Jones. It's as simple as that. I think
he's been pretty decent this year.
He's been a lot better.
No, I just can't do it. When he had Kadarius Toney, yeah, he made some great plays there, but when Kadarius Toney goes out, it doesn't do it for me. What did he do last week? They had a great first drive, put up a field goal, a touchdown on the first drive, and then they went completely flat for the rest of the game. I just can't trust him in these situations. So Daniel Jones, 33 career starts. He has 44 total touchdowns. Would you like to guess the amount of turnovers he has?
45.
52.
45, spot on.
Oh,
he has 26 interceptions, 19 fumbles lost, not even counting another 16 fumbles that were recovered. I just can't trust this guy. And I know it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be ugly. You're getting the points with the Giants, but there's just something about it that I will not back the Giants. So I will take the Panthers here at -3.
All right, I gotta step in here.
Can you read off Sam Darnold's career
yeah,
stats
that's what I was
now?
gonna say. Let's not talk.
I'm not putting my faith in Sam Darnold. I'm just going.
It sounds like you are. Sam Darnold is apparently way better than Daniel Jones.
This is all about a fade Daniel Jones.
Look, I'm all for fading Daniel Jones, but Sam Darnold, 6 interceptions in the last 3 weeks, and his numbers last week, 17 of 41 for 200 yards. Don't even tell how bad he was, because all of it was on that last drive almost, where they went like 95 yards. He was absolutely terrible the last week and the weeks before that. The Panthers are number 8 right now in defensive DVOA, but number 25 in overall team DVOA. So that just shows you how bad almost every aspect of this team has been, aside from their defense, which got some cupcake matchups to start the season. I don't have a play in this game, but I just don't think you can really make a strong case for either side here, to be honest with you. With all the injuries on the Giants right now, if the Giants were healthy right now, I would I would probably take them here, even though they're usually a fade spot for me at home. But I really don't think you can make a strong case either way here, because laying 3 with the Panthers on the road here, it's a scary thought for me.
Yeah, give me the best quarterback in the matchup getting 3 points at home. I'll take the Giants.
Fair enough.
All valid points. Just can't bring myself to take the Giants, so I'm sticking with my Panthers.
All right. Also, shout out to Robbie Anderson, one of the most impressive stat lines I think I've ever seen last week. 11 total targets got him 3 catches for 11 yards and 3 egregious drops. Shout out to you, Robbie Anderson, matching your targets to your yards and having as many drops as you had catches. Very, very impressive. Certainly not helping Sam Darnold. I will give him that. If he's throwing perfect balls and Robbie Anderson can't catch the ball, there's only so much he can do.
That's fair.
Props in this game. We do not have any official lines posted. Do you guys have any spots you will be looking at?
It's pretty hard to come up with a spot I'm looking for in this game.
I have a play I really like in this game. Well, I
right.
think I'm going to really like it. We're obviously waiting for the lines. I'm just double checking one more time. We have Sam Darnold's yards, but that's it. I'm going to be looking at Sterling Shepard here. Probably, I think it might be one of my favorite plays of the week. If we can get a 5.5 reception total, I'm going to be all over that. Shepard came back from injured reserve last week, the injured list. 14 targets, 10 catches for 76 yards. Like we said, Kenny Golladay probably not going to play. Kadarius Toney probably not going to play. Shepard's been a target monster the whole season when he's been active. I think Daniel Jones really has no choice but to look his way pretty much all games. So if we get a 5.5 reception total, I'm going to be all over Sterling Shepard this week.
See, I think that's going to be a chalk play. I think you might get value in like a Dante Pettis, who had 11 targets last week. Because how high can you reasonably set a prop for Dante Pettis at? If he might be the number 2 receiver next week. Sterling Shepard's going to be, I mean, he had 14 targets last week, 10 catches or so. He's going to be a chalk play. I think you come out and get a line that's like 6.5 or 7.5 for his receptions. I
don't care if it's chalk or not. I'm telling you, if I get the line I want, I'm going to bet it. Like, I don't care.
Well, yeah, no, I know.
Other people bet it.
I'm saying I think there would be more value in a Dante Pettis line at like
because
a 3,
he's not good at
3.5.
football.
I mean, he had 11 targets last week. If you're getting that kind of volume at a 3.5 reception prop, I'll take that every day.
How many catches did he have?
He had 5, but
11 targets, 5 catches, 48 yards. All right, we can see where his line's open. We also have to see if Darius Slayton's back, because he'll definitely take some away from Pettis, I think, if he's active.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that'll do it for this game. Let's jump to the Washington Footballs taking on the Green Bay Packers. Packers are 8.5-point home favorites. The over-under here is 49. Packers coming in on a 5-game winning streak since dropping the opener to the Saints. Football's team is all kinds of banged up. We have Antonio Gibson, who's been questionable every single week. He was in and out of the game last week with shin and calf injuries. Terry McLaurin is now banged up. This is just a brutal spot for the Footballs. This line actually opened at 10. It's been dropping all week. We saw a -8 pop up earlier today. I'm all over the Packers here. This is by far the best teaser leg on the board for me. I bet their team total over 3.5 touchdowns. I don't see how the Footballs can stop them. The Packers aren't necessarily a high pace offense. They normally do slower, methodical drives, but I just don't see how the Footballs are going to get them off the field. I think they're going to control the clock, convert in the red zone. Give me the Packers all day here. What do you guys have? Do you have a differing opinion?
Yeah, this is Packers or nothing. I mean, you can't take Washington in this matchup, in my opinion. Their pass defense has just been absolutely terrible. 28th in DVOA. Heineke was looking like a decent quarterback at one point this season, but he's just absolutely crumbled the past 2 weeks. I think missing Antonio Gibson, if he is officially ruled out, that's a huge issue, because you can run against this Packers defense, and that's probably where you would want to attack them to keep Rodgers off the field. But it's tough to run J.D. McKissick through, off tackle and stuff all game, keep the clock moving. So I don't see the Packers having any issues pulling this out. I've thrown their money line in a few parlays. Great teaser spot now that it's down to 8. I wanted to take their team total over 29.5, but they keep having issues finishing drives in the red zone. They're hovering around like 50% touchdown percentage in the red zone and there is supposed to be a little bit of win, but I know you guys are not on the win factor, but it's more the issues in the red zone that are a little bit concerning me that held me off that. So I might end up, look, if this keeps dropping and I get like a flat 7, I'll take the Packers.
It is still dropping. It is now at 7.5 on DraftKings.
Okay, so
apparently there's people lining up out there taking the footballs. I don't see it at all. Dave, what do you have? Are you one of these people lining up betting the footballs?
No, this line is confusing me now because I took the Packers when it opened at 10. I liked it up there, and I did not see this moving down to the 7.5. You said I did not see that one coming, so I will be taking the Packers again. I love them in the teasers, as you said. I think the Washington football team is just very outmatched in this game. They're not going to be able to keep up with the Packers offensively. Their supposed strength of the team was the defense, and they've just been awful this entire year. Chase Young is still an incredible talent, but there was times last week on big third downs where he's just out of the game, and it just makes no sense to me what they're doing over there. I like Taylor Heineke a lot. Seems like a great guy, a serviceable backup quarterback, but put him up against Aaron Rodgers head to head, and he's just not going to keep up.
Yeah, I am all over it. All right, let's look at the props here. We have a couple interesting notes. The footballs are 28th in the league in DVOA against the pass, so I think this sets up good for the Packers passing game. Packers are 30th in DVOA against the run. I'm not sure if we can take advantage of that because Antonio Gibson might miss, and even if he does play, he keeps going in and out of the game, so I probably can't touch that. I think this might be a good spot to go back to Ricky Seals-Jones. We'll see where his props come out at, but the Packers are 26th against opposing tight ends. The Seal has played 141 of 142 offensive snaps over the last 2 weeks, racking up a 19% target share. Obviously, we touched on 4 for 58 and 1 last week. If McLaurin is banged up, Ricky Seals-Jones could realistically be the first or second option in the passing game here. So I'm going to see where his yards are at. And then maybe a little J.D. McKissick out of the backfield. He was in the low to mid 20s last week for the receiving yards, 10 targets, led the team with 8 catches for 65 yards. Football is likely in comeback mode, so he probably sees the field a little bit more than Gibson, regardless of if he's active or not. So those are going to be my 2 looks here. Do you guys have any other plays you would look at?
Yeah, I think I would look at like an A.J. Dillon rushing yards prop. This seems like a game that the Packers could somewhat run away with. I think we're in agreement with that. And he definitely, in those types of games, he gets a lot of work, in the fourth quarter. So if you get his rushing yards in like the 20s or something, I wouldn't hate that as a play.
Yeah, last week he was 11 for 59. Obviously, they were playing from ahead quite a bit during the Bears, and he was helping ice the game in that second half. So yeah, I think that's a good look. Dave, do you have anything?
McKissick was my go-to on this one. I want to look at his reception total and yards, like you said, especially if Gibson's banged up, McLaurin's banged up. I know that the Seal is there, but you're going to need some other options when you're down probably this entire game. A lot of dump-off passes I can see to McKissick. So even if Gibson is in the game, I would still look at that spot.
Yeah, I like the respect given to Ricky Seals-Jones. You acknowledge the Seal is there. I like it.
That was a great call, yeah.
All right, let's jump to possibly the game of the week. We have the Kansas City Chiefs against the Tennessee Titans. This line opened at 4. It has been climbing ever since. Titans are 5.5-point underdogs. I'm going to have to update the screen here because that says they are currently favorites. Over under is a sky high 57.5. This Chiefs team is just kind of broken right now. I'm not proclaiming that they're dead for the season or anything, but it just seems like they can't get out of their own way. Like Mahomes is making stupid mistakes. That one interception he threw last week was embarrassing. Tyreek Hill, for as talented as he is just having brutal drops, brutal fumbles. It seems like every single week. I kind of like the Titans here with the points. I'm kind of waiting to see where this line goes just because it's been climbing all week. So I'm going to see if I can get a 6 or a 6.5. But there is no circumstance where I could see myself laying 5.5 points with the Chiefs against almost any team right now, the way that this Chiefs team is looking. Do you guys see it differently?
I was expecting this to come down towards the Titans. Like I was expecting to get a Chiefs -3, which I actually might have taken. Now I'm waiting for a 6 for the Titans, and then I'll probably take that. Right now, I have a Chiefs team total over 31. Look, the Chiefs offense is fine. They're fine. Let's not overreact. There's been some very
They're not that fine.
No, they're moving the ball there with no issues. Mahomes,
and they're also turning it over like 3 or 4 times a game.
Mahomes is having uncharacteristic turnovers that aren't going to keep happening. Hill has had a couple bad drops that have bounced off and led to interceptions, and they're still scoring. They still scored over 30 points last week. The Titans defense is absolutely terrible. Don't be deceived. Look, the Bills scored 31 points last week, and they probably could have scored 45, but they went 2 for 5 in the red zone. Look, the Chiefs are fine. Titans are 26th in the league in takeaways, so I don't see them making many plays. Chiefs are going to be able to move the ball. Titans are allowing 6.1 yards per play. Chiefs are number 1 in third down conversion percentage. So just, as long as you don't get these uncharacteristic turnovers, Chiefs are going to have no issue scoring here. So
at what point are they no longer uncharacteristic? People have been making this case ever since the season started, and they still keep doing them every single week. At some point, it just is their characteristic. It's no longer uncharacteristic.
But they're still scoring points.
I'm not saying they're not going to score points, but you keep saying the turnovers are going to magically disappear. I don't know that they are.
Okay,
fine. I'm not saying that they're not
don't
going to score points, but they're a team that's turning the ball over every single week at this point.
All right, that's fine. But again, last week, 31 points with 2 or 3 turnovers. All right, the Buffalo game, they didn't look great. Eagles, 42 points. Chargers, they scored 24, then 35 against the Ravens, 33 week. So they're still scoring, a lot of points. So
no, I hear you.
I don't see them having any issues here.
Dave, go ahead.
I don't have a play on the game specifically. I think that I would lean towards the Titans if that number does get up to 6. I think the total's just, it's probably going to hit, but it's just a little too high for me right now at 57.5, I believe it is. Derrick Henry yards at up to 127.5. That's
God.
just crazy high. He might just hit it, but you can't take that number.
Might just hit it, dude. He's
probably gonna hit it, but
he's hitting it.
I can't take that.
You almost have to.
I can't do that one. I like the AJ Brown over 66.5 receiving yards.
Yes.
Even last week against the Bills, where he had, believe it was food poisoning during the game, and he still finished with 7 for 91. Also, probably my favorite bet in this game, the Titans over 2.5 team touchdowns at -160. So a little bit of juice on that, but I don't see any way the Chiefs are going to slow them down enough to keep them under 3 touchdowns.
I like that bet a lot.
I love both those plays. Yeah, I also had AJ Brown written down. I did not mention Julio Jones tweaked his hamstring again last game. He's probably going to miss. He just can't stay healthy.
What a surprise.
He's a lost cause at this point.
Yeah, so that's just going to be more targets for AJ Brown. So I like that play a lot. My favorite play in this game is another prop: Patrick Mahomes over rushing yards. I'll touch on this one a little bit later. Rue, do you have anything?
Nope.
All right, let's go to what do we have next? Falcons and Dolphins. Dolphins, 2.5-point home underdogs. Over under is 47.5. Pretty brutal travel spot here for the Dolphins coming home from London. They elected to not have their bye this week, while the Falcons are coming off a nice bye week. So pretty big rest advantage for the Falcons here. Devontae Parker and Will Fuller, I don't know if we have their status yet. I would assume Parker's probably back. Fuller's probably still out for the Dolphins. 2 really bad defenses in this matchup, 2 pretty bad teams. Chance of rain in the game. Anyone have a strong take here? Dave, you want to kick us off?
I have nothing on this game itself. I want absolutely nothing to do with it. I do have a prop, but I will save it for later.
Rue?
Look, I'm waiting on a Dolphins +3.
It's coming.
I know. I saw there was some juice on the Falcons, so I'll take it at +3. It's not a great spot for the Dolphins, like you said, coming back from London. I don't know how they ended up not getting a bye after the London game.
They elected. The league gave them the option, and they chose to not have their bye. They wanted to get one later in the season. You get the choice if you play in London, whether you want your bye after the London game or whenever. And I think every other team in the league chose to have their bye after the London game.
Interesting. All right. Well, this is just a game where I feel like I would just be foolish to not take 3 points with the Dolphins at home here. Yeah, like I just said, it's a bad spot. Falcons coming off a bye, but these teams are just too evenly matched to not take 3 points with the home team, in my opinion. It's that they both have holes all over the field. They're pretty much right next to each other in terms of offensive and defensive statistics, and I like the Dolphins in a teaser here as well. And yeah, I'm just waiting on that 3, and I'll take it. There's no reason not to take 3 points with the Dolphins here.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I'm waiting for a 3. I already have the Dolphins in a teaser. Don't mind their money line at like a plus 120, plus 130. And I do have a couple props here. Dave, kick us off with your prop that you have in this game.
I will be saving it for later, as it may just be my favorite of the week.
Whoa.
Wow, favorite prop in a Falcons-Dolphins game. Rue, do you have a
Ugly,
prop
I know.
Yeah, so I have Kyle Pitts over 49.5 yards. And look, this isn't an overreaction to his game last week where Ridley was out and he had 120 yards. He's been getting consistent targets all year. Outside of one game, he's had at least 6 targets in every game. He's at 8, 9, 10 targets. So look, he's getting the looks. And I think last week or 2 weeks ago was a great way to build his and Ryan's chemistry. I think they'll get him more involved in the offense now because they see what a weapon he can be. So, look, I think if they just start connecting on some more of these passes, he'll have no problem hitting this. I was expecting this to be in the upper 50s. So, and the Dolphins secondary is extremely banged up right now on top of everything else. So, I like Kyle Pitts over 49.5.
Yep, very similar handicap on me. I took Calvin Ridley over 68.5 receiving yards. Basically the same thing. Both these defenses are bottom 6 in the league against the pass. So I like Ridley at a discount over 68.5. And I also took Tua over 252.5 passing yards. We saw him drop back to pass 47 times last week, threw for 329 yards. So I think both offenses are going to be able to move the ball. And quite honestly, as long as there's not a ton of rain, I think the over's in play here as well, 47.5, as long as they can convert in the red zone, which would be my only concern.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, let's jump to our next game. A rematch from week number 2, Jets and the Patriots. Patriots are 7-point home favorites. Over under is 42.5. In that week 2 game, the Patriots won 25-6 in dominant fashion. Zach Wilson threw 3 picks. Since then, the Patriots are 1-3, with their only win being a last-second field goal against the lowly Texans. So this does feel like a lot of points to lay with the Patriots. They closed -5.5 that week 2 game. So now we flip home field. We have -6.5. Kind of makes sense, but this one is a pass on the full spread for me. Patriots are also 0-4 at home this year. Jets are coming off a bye week, so a little bit of an advantage there. I'm fine with the Patriots and teasers, money line parlays, stuff like that, but I've said it all year. I don't think the Patriots is a team that I really want to be laying this many points with, even against the rookie quarterback. Rue, what do you have here? Are you on the Patriots?
Yeah, like you said, it's just too many points to lay, and it's one of those lower totals that I don't love laying too many points. But I just don't think the Patriots have an issue here. Belichick will confuse Zach Wilson again, make him look like a penguin lost in a desert, probably throw another few interceptions. Patriots money line, Patriots and teasers, and I think you could still play the under in this matchup as well.
Dave?
Yeah, I think Patriots money line and in parlays would be the play here. I know what Bill Belichick is capable of doing to rookie quarterbacks. It's a lot of points though in a divisional game. I'm not that much of a believer in the Patriots overall as a team. I don't know if that week 2 matchup, the Patriots are that good, the Jets are that bad. This is more of a stay away game for me, especially in that low total. As you said, eating 7 points on that is a lot, but hard to back the Jets in any game situation.
Yeah, I think that's fair. For props, we do not have lines posted. I'm going to be looking at Damian Harris rush yards. If we can get him somewhere in the 60s, maybe the low 70s. He went 18 for 101 and a touchdown last week. Had 62 yards and a touchdown against the Jets in week 2. We're expecting a positive game script here. I think they're just going to get a lead and run the ball like they try and do every week. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at Damian Harris here. Do you guys have any plays for props in this game that you're going to be looking out for?
I might look at a Hunter Henry touchdown. He's scored in the last 3 weeks. So if you get that at plus money, he's kind of become a red zone target for them. So depending on what the odds there, might not be a bad look.
Yeah, I was originally going to look at his yards, but I was just saying his targets have not been there. Only 2 targets last week in a pretty high scoring game against Dallas. But yeah, like maybe a touchdown if you can get him like plus 250, plus 220. Dave, anything?
No props for me in this game.
All right, let's move to, I believe, our first large spread game of the week. We have the Detroit Lions taking on the LA Rams. Rams are 15.5-point home favorites. Over under is 50.5. We have a double reverse quarterback revenge game going on here. Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff both playing their former teams. So naturally, all of the revenge narratives going here. We can expect a 41-38 shootout, obviously. In all seriousness, I'm going to be taking the Lions here. I think this is a little bit too many points. It's one of those bets where you're never going to feel good about it. You may actually have to type in the bet and then close your eyes while you hit place bet, because you're just never going to get excited about betting the Lions. But this is, if you're giving me over 2 touchdowns, I may even wait, see if we can get a 16.5. Not that those are necessarily valuable points, but it doesn't seem like there's anyone backing the Lions here, as this line has only gone up. So that's my strategy here. Anyone taking the points with the Rams?
I don't think you can back the Lions here. Look, I'm not.
You have to back it's Lions or nothing, and it's Lions.
Look, who's gonna know Jared Goff's weaknesses better than Sean McVay? Because he's been disguising them for since he's taken over as the Rams head coach. I think this game could get ugly. I'm waiting to see if some pro money comes in on the Lions to push it under 14. Look, Goff has thrown the last 2 weeks 42 passes and only 202 yards, 35 passes and only 203 yards. There's nothing going right for this team right now. Yes, both revenge narratives on both sides, but who actually has the tools to do it? It's Stafford. There's even Dan Campbell knows Goff sucks.
Goff's fired up. Dan Campbell called him out. Goff's going to come out with his butt lit on fire this week. He's coming.
No. Dan Campbell also cried the press conference before in the last game, and they came out and still got blown out by the Bengals.
Exactly.
They tried their hardest, Dave. They tried.
Yeah, there's no biting ankles going on in this game. I'll tell you that. So this is Rams or nothing. I'll probably take the Rams if it does get under 2 touchdowns. But
Dave, you're not on the Lions here?
No, I'd be on the Rams again if they went, like Rue said, if they get under 2 touchdowns, or if I can get that live. They started a little bit slow in the Giants game, and you probably get a nice number if it's looking like that live. I'm not taking the Lions though. I think Jared Goff is going to get eaten alive by this Rams defense. I mean, Aaron Donald chasing you all game. Good luck with that. What I would be looking at in this game, if I can get the Rams live, but I do have a prop in this game. So,
does anyone remember the last time the Rams were 2 touchdown favorites in the Sean McVay era?
What was that?
It was last year against the winless Jets.
And who was their quarterback?
Rams
they
halftime,
lost.
full time.
Who was their quarterback?
That would be Jared Goff.
Yeah, all right.
All right. That's enough out of you. I'm taking the Lions. Dave, go ahead with your prop.
I'm going to go back to the Darrell Henderson well. If I can get anything on his prop, I don't think it's out yet, but anything around 80 or below, I am taking that. They seem to be riding him pretty hard this entire season. There was chatter in the beginning of the year when they signed Sony Michel, but I think it's pretty clear by now they really like Darrell Henderson. And he's also getting all of the goal line work that I've seen. He's scored in 4 out of 5 games this year, so I can get a nice number on him to score a touchdown as well. I'll be looking at that. The Lions defense is, there's just no match. I know it's the Matt Stafford revenge game, but in the last 4 games, the Lions have given up 94 to Joe Mixon, 113 to Alexander Madison, 106 to David Montgomery, and over 100 to the Ravens. I don't see that stopping anytime soon, so I'll take some Darrell Henderson, depending where that number is, around 80 or below.
Yeah, love that. Wrote down the exact same thing. Rue, how do we feel about taking a fourth quarter over receiving yards on DeAndre Swift?
Yeah, if they offer that somewhere, just
wait till he has no catches for no yards through 3 quarters, and then hammer the live line at 10.5.
Yeah, if you get him in the 30s or something, I feel like you got to take it again.
You would think they would have to throw him the ball more early in the game, since that's the only way they can move the ball. But
yeah, and then I'm also taking if Stafford's line's at 2.5 touchdowns, I'm taking the over.
If it's plus money,
if it's I would probably take it minus 120 or better.
Not that high. Plus money.
No, I would take minus 120 or better. But
That's absurd.
Thank you.
That's absurd.
How is that absurd? If you think Stafford's not throwing 3 touchdowns in this game, you're out of your mind. I usually don't buy into revenge narratives, but Stafford's throwing 3 touchdowns in this game. Mark my words.
He can still have a good game and not throw for 3 touchdowns.
He's throwing for 3 touchdowns.
I don't know the views.
You're going to make me make this my favorite bet of the week.
Go ahead.
No.
It's minus 120. It'll be a bad bet.
All right.
All right, let's go Eagles and Raiders here. Eagles traveling to Vegas. Raiders are 3-point home favorites. Over under is 49. Eagles do get a couple extra days rest here coming off a Thursday night game against the Bucs. Raiders got a little bit of an emotional win against the Broncos coming off the John Gruden news. I fully admit I may have a blind spot on this Raiders team. I think I have bet against them at least 3 times and lost every single one. And the only game that I have backed them was against the Chargers on Monday Night Football, and they got destroyed. So I'm on the Eagles money line here. I think this game is much more of a toss-up than it's being lined. I don't think there's any real distinct advantages that Vegas had. Yes, Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, but I think overall these teams are pretty similar. Lane Johnson is expected to be back for the Eagles, so if they can just run the damn ball, that'll help out their offense. So I've been wrong on this Vegas team all year. I'm taking the Eagles money line. Take that for what you will. Anyone want to jump in here and give their thoughts on this game?
Yeah, like you said, sometimes you just got to play, like look at the market and kind of find the value. Like you said, there's nothing that jumps off the page that gives the Eagles a clear advantage here. But I just think these teams are pretty evenly matched. They both have a lot of weaknesses, have some strengths, and 3.5 points just feels like way too much here. I was waiting for that 0.5 point all week and finally got it today. So I locked in the Eagles plus 3.5. I think Raiders got that emotional Gruden firing game out of their system last week. Raiders offensive line is definitely an issue. 23rd in pass block win rate. Eagles defense is 4th in pass rush win rate. So maybe the Eagles can get some pressure on Carr here, which we know is kind of a weak point for him. Yeah. Eagles run defense definitely an issue, but the Raiders have one of the worst running games in the league. Josh Jacobs is barely averaging over three yards per carry. So I don't know if they're going to have the tools to take advantage of it. So I love getting 3.5 points here. Give me the Eagles.
Right there with you guys. Eagles 3.5, Eagles money line. I'm just not a believer in Derek Carr. I've been pretty vocal about that. I don't know why.
You're like the biggest Derek Carr hater on the planet.
Something about that guy. Can you ever see him lifting a Lombardi trophy? I just don't see it. I mean, it just, the picture in my mind just does not
we're talking about him beating the Eagles, not lifting the Lombardi.
No, I know, but just overall, I think people are starting to warm up to the Derek Carr as maybe a pretty good quarterback this year. He had some nice wins early in the season against that Ravens on Monday night. I have, like you, bet against them a couple times and been burned. I'm just not a believer in the Raiders. Like you said, that new head coach effect is going to wear off. I was all over them last week. I thought that was a nice win spot for them, getting Gruden out of that building, having that fresh start with a new head coach. But now it's going to start to wear off, and you'll see them resort back to the below average team that I think they are. Eagles have started out slow in a lot of the games this season, but they still managed to hang around, and they're getting close and winning some of these games in the fourth quarter. So give me the Eagles there.
All right. 3 Eagles fans on the Eagles. No coincidence there. For props, I think this might be a good buy low spot on Darren Waller. We obviously have to see where his yards come out at, but he's been under 60 yards in 4 straight games. I think he's just too good of a player to be held down for this long, and I think the Eagles linebacking and safety core is probably 2 of the weaker units on their roster. So I'm going to be looking at Waller yards, see if we can get somewhere in the low 60s. I'm going to be on that. And Rue, is it time to go back to Miles Sanders?
Oh, man, I thought you were going to get mad at me. I wasn't going to say it, but it is. If you get something...
I am going to get mad at you if you go back. It was a joke. No one goes back to Miles Sanders. No one.
If you get a line in the 50s here, you take Miles Sanders over.
The under.
I will be playing it if it comes out in the 50s as rush yards. So, it's time. It's time. You can run against this Raiders team. Sirianni has been hearing it. He was at like a big Oktoberfest event over the weekend, and everyone was chanting "run the ball" at him and getting pictures, and then saying, "Yo, you got to run the ball." He got roasted on the radio in a press conference, and it's time. He's going to do it. This is the week. Miles Sanders is going to get. I think he gets 70+ yards here. And I'm 100% on board with the Waller prop. I have that written down as well. I think this Eagles linebacking core is absolutely atrocious. And if you get Waller in the 50s as well, I think I would take his over.
Glad we can agree on something here. Dave, props, anything from you?
I'm actually with Rue on the Sanders props. I have
you
been playing
watched him this year. Have you watched
I have been
him?
playing his under rushing attempts pretty much all season, but I have to agree that this could be the week. Get Lane Johnson back. Run the dang ball. If
Jeff,
I can
he looks great. He looks great. Miles Sanders looks great. It's not
no,
him.
he doesn't.
Yeah, Jeff, you can't blame Miles Sanders. Like, he's a running back that when you start giving him touches, he gets better throughout the game and he can break a run. It's hard for him to do that when he's getting 5 to 8 carries.
I agree. He's not being put in a great position, but I'm not saying he hasn't been amazing this season.
He hasn't had a chance to. That's what I'm saying.
You barely see him out there. You say he doesn't look good, but he's never out there. So I'm with Rue. If we can get that,
that's part of the reason
50,
why you don't
I'm
play the over
it.
because he's never out there.
He can break off. He breaks off a lot of big runs, but what I'm looking at more, if I can get the attempts at 8.5 again, I'm actually gonna flip on myself and take the over this time.
Why wouldn't you take his yards over attempts? If he has big play running potential, wouldn't you just rather have the yards? I feel like the attempts are worse.
I'll take both. This is the week.
I'll take both as well.
All right. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Good luck. Good luck. All right, let's go to our next game here. Bears and the Bucks. Bucks are 12.5-point home favorites. Over under is 47. Pretty brutal matchup here for the Bears. We know they are not going to be able to run the ball, whether it's Damian Williams if he's back or Khalil Herbert. And this is by far one of the worst passing offenses in the league. Bucks do have a couple injuries. Richard Sherman's going to be out. Gronk is probably back this week. I don't know if we have news on Carlton Davis or Levante David, but either way, I mean, the Bucks just have so much more firepower. The Bears are doing everything in their power to not have Justin Fields need to throw the ball. I have no play here. I would never take the Bears. I don't want to lay over 10 with the Bucks, but it just, I don't know. What do you guys have any plays on this game?
This is just like an absolutely dreadful matchup for the Bears because all they want to do is run the ball, play good defense, run the clock, and we know you can't run on the Bucks. Their offense is absolutely rolling right now through the air, on the ground, first in pass DVOA, sixth in rush. The D line's finally starting to get pressures now, third in pass rush win rate. Fields has been sacked 16 times in his 4 starts. It's despite a Tampa Bay banged up secondary. I just don't see how the Bears take advantage of it. I'm not opposed to laying the points with the Bucks. I laid double digits with them a couple weeks ago against Miami, and I haven't done it yet. I may get there, but it's Bucks or nothing here.
It is dropping. This opened at 13.5. I'm now saying minus 12 on DraftKings. So if this gets to like minus 11, I think that's where I would buy the Bucks.
Little bit of a tip when you get these bigger lines. I think it's better to wait because you might miss out on a few where they move up, but I would say for the most part they end up going down because you get more sharp and pro money that they're more likely to bet on the underdogs. All
right, Dave plays.
Yeah, I learned that lesson on the Packers. That's a good tip right there. No play on the game. You guys said it. I mean, I think Justin Fields is going to struggle mightily here. I was looking into his rushing prop, but I'm just he's been all over the place. I've been playing it a couple weeks in a row now because I know he's a good running quarterback. I don't know why he's not using his legs more. He finally started to do that in the last game. But what I would be looking at in terms of a prop, if Khalil Herbert is the starter, I'll have to see what the number is, but I just want to play his under. He broke off 97 yards last week, so I'm hoping that I know it's against a very tough Bucks front seven, but if there can be a slightly inflated number just based off last week's total, I want to play that under.
I like the thought process. My only concern is I feel like Matt Nagy is just dumb enough of a coach to keep trying to establish the run regardless of if he's only getting 2 yards a carry. He's just going to keep running the ball because they're deathly afraid of having Fields throwing it. That would be my only concern.
Yeah, I feel like there's a certain number you have to cap it out. I got burnt by Sony Michel against the Bucks, where he averaged like 2.8 yards per carry, but he ended up getting like 20 something
He's
carries.
20 for 67. So like he got there on volume alone.
Yeah, exactly. So and like you said, Matt Nagy will probably just be stubborn enough to run every first and second down no matter what.
Yeah.
I also think, though, even last week with Herbert, he had a lot of carries, but the Bears were keeping that close. In the first half of the game, it was 10-7. So they had opportunities to run the ball. I know Matt Nagy is we all know his decision making and his coaching ability, but if they're down early in this game, there's going to be no choice. They can't be running the ball 2 out of the 4 downs. So I think that volume should come down a little bit if they're down early, as I expect them to be. But I'll have to see what the number is when it comes out.
All right. Props for me. I have one play here. We do not have the official line yet. So Leonard Fournette's rushing yards opened at 63.5. I'm going to wait and see if we can get a rushing plus receiving yards. He's been used a ton in the passing game as well as the running game. I got this around 90.5 last week against the Eagles. Lenny has gone over 100 total rushing plus receiving yards for 3 weeks straight. Dominating touches in the backfield. Positive game script expected. I'm going to keep riding Lenny until he misses. Any plays for you guys here?
Yeah, I have Justin Fields under 221.5 pass yards.
That's a bad line. Wow.
Yeah, so somehow 2 minutes after I bet this, it went up to 230 and then back down to 223. But regardless, I feel good about it. This number, it makes absolutely no sense to me. Obviously, they're factoring in Tampa Bay's banged up secondary that they aren't going to be able to run the ball either. But Fields, the closest he's come to this number is 209 yards. And I think there was a couple big plays mixed in there. He threw his season high pass attempts last week at 27, and he only threw for 174 yards. Other than that, he threw for 111 and then 68 yards. So this number, it makes no sense to me. Maybe he comes out and can move the ball, but I don't see enough opportunity here, because if they do get stubborn and keep trying to run the ball, it's going to be a lot of 3 and outs, and the opportunity just won't be there.
All right, fair. Dave, props, anything?
No other props for me outside of Herbert.
All right, let's move it on to the Texans and the Cardinals, our last large spread game of the week. Arizona Cardinals are 17.5 home field favorites. Over under is 47.5. Got some rumors earlier in the week that Tyrod Taylor was getting closer to starting. It doesn't sound like he's going to be back yet. It sounds like it's going to be another game of Davis Mills.
He's out. Tyrod's out.
Okay, I will just shut up then and get rid of that next sentence that I was going to say. Because if he was going to be in, I would love the Texans here. But this game's just a pass for me. I can't take 17.5 points with Davis Mills. I don't ever really want to lay that many points, regardless of who the team is. So I couldn't possibly make a play here on the side or the total. Do you guys have any plays here?
No, I was the same way. I was waiting to see if Tyrod played, and then I was going to take the Texans. But I feel like if you lay 17 points with a team, you're going to need a little bit of luck to end up covering it. So I'm not in the business of laying this many points in an NFL football game. But also don't want to take points with the Texans after I took points with them last week and they got blown out of the water. So no play here for me.
Yeah, I can't do anything with this game. I also took the Texans last week and got burned pretty hard on that. So no play for me.
All right, for props here, I am going to be looking at James Conner rush yards as well as a James Conner touchdown. We've kind of seen these roles become a little bit more clearly defined in the Arizona backfield. Chase Edmonds is going to get the receiving work and will be heavily used in 2-minute drills and when the team is in comeback mode. James Conner is going to be the goal line back, the clock-eating back. We saw him last week when they were up comfortably on the Browns, 16 carries for 71 yards. Also had 5 touchdowns in the 3 previous weeks. So I'm going to be looking at a James Conner anytime touchdown over rushing yards. Maybe you pair that with the Cardinals money line, get a nice little SGP going there. So that's going to be my only play. The Cardinals receiving game is a little bit too spread out. And then, Brandon Cooks. Forgot about my guy. Always in play, Brandon Cooks. We'll see where his line is. But if he's in the 60s, going right back to the over on him.
Yeah, if you get Cooks in the 60s, I'll be there. We were on him last week, and no sweat there.
Yes, sir. Dave, anything?
I'm with you on Cooks, and I like the James Conner call. You just saw Jonathan Taylor gash that Texans defense for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I like that game script for them as well.
All right, moving right along. Sunday Night Football. We just have a barn burner of games in the primetime slate here. Broncos, Browns, Colts, Niners, and Saints, Seahawks, just like we were all hoping for. So this game, the Niners are going to be 4-point home favorites. Over under is 44.5. We do not have official quarterback news. It sounds like Jimmy Garoppolo is trending towards playing. George Kittle is going to be out this game for the Niners. We have T.Y. Hilton and Paris Campbell both likely going to miss for the Colts, so their receiving core is a little bit banged up. Yeah, this one's tough. Niners coming off a bye. Colts maybe found their stride a little bit the last 2 weeks. Obviously lost to the Ravens, but still looked pretty good. I'm leaning to the Colts here, getting 4 or 4.5. I haven't quite pulled the trigger yet. And just a quick note, we do have some weather in this game. Looks like the forecast is calling for a 90% chance of rain and 14-mile-an-hour winds. So maybe it's going to be a little bit more dependent on the run games. Both these teams can run the ball fine, so I don't know if that's a big advantage to one side or the other. Rue, what's your play here?
Yeah, I haven't taken the Colts yet, but I probably will. I saw that weather forecast, and that definitely pushed me more towards the Colts. I think they've done a great job getting Jonathan Taylor going. So I would actually give the Colts an advantage if this did turn into a ground game. It does look like Jimmy Garoppolo is playing, but either way, I think he'll be a little rusty. And if it did end up being Lance, I don't, his first primetime game, that would be a total fade spot for me. But 4 points, really, I would probably make this like 2.5. So I think I like getting this over a field goal. I think the Colts are the play here.
Well, the Niners in this one. I got them at 3 earlier in the week, and I like it at that number. As it is now, I'm seeing 4.5, 4. I would like it a lot less. It's really about the number for me, and especially if Jimmy G is back, I would not trust Trey Lance in the situation, as you said, first primetime game. It's a big ask on a rookie quarterback who has some pretty limited experience right now. I'm a believer in Kyle Shanahan, though. I think that the Niners have taken a back seat in the past couple of weeks. People are thinking that they're not good anymore. They had a tough schedule before the bye. They had Cardinals, Seahawks with Russell Wilson, Packers before that bye. So they just had a gauntlet last 3 games. They're getting a little bit healthier. Jimmy G's going to come back. I like the Niners in this one, and maybe it's because I'm a little bit biased and I'm just not with the Carson Wentz train right now.
Wentz has looked good the last 2 weeks. As much as it pains me to
know.
say it, it hasn't. The Texans' defense obviously isn't great, but he threw a couple nice deep balls. He looked really good against the Ravens. So I don't know if they can get a passing game going and accompany it with Jonathan Taylor, and they're not as bad of a team as they've looked.
Yeah, I think it's all about Jonathan Taylor, especially if you're talking about the weather game. If you don't have Jonathan Taylor out there getting all his carries, getting his yards, and moving the ball, I don't trust Carson Wentz in this situation to bring it home against what I think is a much more capable coach in Kyle Shanahan.
The more I look into this weather, the more I think I like the Colts. The Colts actually have the 29th ranked passing defense in terms of DVOA and the number 1 ranked running defense. So if we do get some rain here and the teams are forced to run the ball a little bit more, I do think that does favor the Colts the more I look into this. And for props, I have already played Jonathan Taylor over 62.5 rush yards. He's been the focal point of the Colts offense the last 3 weeks, averaging over 100 rushing yards per game. I think they continue to ride Taylor if they want to continue to have chances to win games.
That line extremely low when it came out. I was shocked. I took it as well. I really was expecting 75, honestly, the way they've been handing him the ball and how he's looked the last couple weeks. So 63.5 for a guy, especially in a weather game, who's going to see 15 plus carries on the ground. I love that.
I think that number is actually kind of fair looking at his whole year. He's had 200-yard games, but outside of that, 53, 64, 51, 56.
Yeah, but they also had a couple games earlier in the year where they were down pretty big. Like I know the Seahawks week 1, they pretty much went down immediately and were in comeback mode the whole game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's fair.
And same thing with the Titans. They were trailing a lot too. Well, he hit the over in that game, but still, I don't know. It seems like they're trying to get him more involved. Maybe you can go rushing plus receiving yards because they've been throwing him the screen passes and stuff recently too. But I like it, especially if 90% chance of rain makes me like it even more.
Yeah. All right. Anything left to say here?
Nope.
Monday Night Football it is. New Orleans Saints, Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are plus 5.5. Gosh, Jeff, get it together here, man. Plus 5.5 as I update the YouTube screen. Over under is 43. Seahawks, I think they're going to struggle to move the ball here. We already know Russell Wilson's out. It's going to be Geno Smith. Chris Carson is also out. Alex Collins is banged up. The Saints defense are number 2 against the run and have the number 1 D line in terms of adjusted line yards. I took a stab at the under here. I took the under at 43.5. I'm also not a fan of the Saints offense. I think what Sean Payton has done to Jameis Winston basically just turned him into a giant game manager and taken away all of his strengths. I don't like it at all. They're 31st in terms of pace. So give me the under at 43.5 here. And if this gets any higher, if we get a 6 here, I'm going to have to take the Seahawks in a similar handicap to last week. I don't necessarily love the Seahawks team, but I was fading the Steelers. I'm going to do the same thing with the Saints here. I would never lay 6 points with the Saints team.
Okay. Well, I bet the Saints I bet this during the Sunday Night Football game, and
You did.
And I got -3. So I have another great closing line value against the Seahawks here. And
Gonna lose again.
No, I absolutely love this. Look, you said they're number 2 in DVOA against the rush, which is going to be a huge issue for the Saints because they're not going to be able to lean on Alex Collins in the second half like they did last week. They're only allowing 18 points per game. And I talked about the Seahawks were just gifted by the Steelers in that second half by just terrible game planning. New Orleans should be able to move the ball on the ground with Kamara against the defense ranked 17th in adjusted line yards, allowing the 3rd most rush yards per game and 4.4 yards per carry. You got 2 bad quarterbacks here. One of them's worse than Geno Smith. But look, I think there's going to be a lot more pressure on Geno to make plays here than Jameis, given the defensive situation. So Saints -3 here. I love it. I don't know that I would still play it at -5.5, but glad I don't need to make that decision.
I did not play this game. I would lean, if I had to pick a side, I'm leaning the Saints. I think as they start to use Alvin Kamara more in the passing game, it opens things up a lot more for Jameis Winston. So if they're able to do that, I'd like the Saints here. I'm not putting my trust in Geno Smith and the 4th string now running back for the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, Alex Collins might be out. I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be what
just
DJ
said
Dallas. Oh, I didn't.
I
Sorry.
think Rashad Penny might be coming back too.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
dude, they're fine. Rashad Penny's coming
Yeah.
back. Come on.
Oh,
guys.
my bad.
Props in this game, I would not have anything. Maybe you look at a DK Metcalf over, a Tyler Lockett under. I don't know. I don't really ever end up touching Kamara's props. I feel like he's like really inconsistent from week to week. Would you guys look at him or anyone else in this game for props?
Yeah, I'm going to see where his props open up at. I would definitely take some form of, if you get maybe his rush yards, maybe like a rush plus receiving yards or something like that.
Yeah, I like the total yardage on Kamara, but I don't have any play on it yet.
I really have no idea where it's going to open up, so that'll be a wait and see.
It has to be close to 100, if not higher.
Yeah, probably, but it'll be a wait and see. I'll make a determination when it comes out, but that'll be my main lean in the game.
If I opened it at 100.5, would you play it over?
I
would play the over at 100.5.
Okay.
He's had over that in the last 3 games, so.
All right, let's move on to our long shots of the week. This is a segment where we give out our favorite long shot play of the week at plus 200 odds or better. Sometimes it's a money line, a parlay, a same game parlay, whatever we find value in on the board. Dave, kick us off with your long shot of the week.
My long shot of the week is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals on the money line.
What?
Plus 240.
What?
I am a little bit afraid of this, given what I told about the history of these two teams, and they've gotten blown out a couple times in the past couple of years. I just don't think the Bengals are getting the respect they deserve. They have these incredible big plays all the time out there with Jamar Chase. Joe Mixon is finally starting to play like the running back we thought he was going to be the past couple of years. They're using him a lot. Joe Burrow looks great back there. So I'm going to ride with this divisional matchup. Should be a big bruiser game, and I like the Bengals to come out on top here. So that's going to be my long shot of the week. It is currently plus 240 on FanDuel.
Put some
Wow.
respect on the Bengals' name.
All right.
I like it. Rue, I'll kick it over to you for your long shot of the week.
All right. So I am going with a little parlay here. I'm going to go Eagles money line. And then I'm going to go with my Matt Stafford over 2.5 touchdown passes. Don't have a line yet, but I plugged in a minus 115 odds here just as something for reference. So if you parlay it with
Really look for plus money there.
Okay. If you parlay it with the Eagles money line, you get plus 358.
All right. So Stafford over 2.5 touchdowns and the Eagles money line. I thought you were going to say Miles Sanders when you said you were parlaying.
Ooh, that would have been good too.
All right. We don't need any of the bad idea.
Get
guys.
crazy now.
No, we don't need any of that. For my long shot of the week, I'm going to go with a same game parlay in the Jets and Patriots game. I'm going to go Damian Harris over rush yards. I'm going to set this at 70.5. So we'll have to see where the line comes out. If it's anywhere below 72.5, I am good there. So Damian Harris over rush yards, Damian Harris touchdown, and the Patriots money line that should come back around plus 235. Based on the odds I just created in my head for this parlay. So that's going to be my long shot of the week.
I think it'll be higher than that, honestly.
All right, that's great. We'll see when it comes out.
All right.
All right, let's go to our favorite bets of the week. Rue, I'm coming to you first. Hit us with your favorite bet of the week.
All right, keep it simple. We're going with a nice teaser here. We are going with a Packers and Patriots teaser. Don't see either of these teams having issues at home putting away inferior teams. So Packers, Patriots teaser on DraftKings minus 120 odds.
Love it, love it, love it. I'm in on that for sure. Dave, go ahead. Guest favorite bet of the week.
My favorite bet of the week, and interestingly enough, you both had bets on the two other people in this offense, but I am riding Cordero Patterson over 38.5 receiving yards.
The whole Falcons offense is going over.
The whole Falcons offense. So I was debating between receiving yards and total yards, but I like the receiving at 38.5 a little bit more. His last 6 weeks in order from 2 to 6, he's gone 58, 82, 82, 60. Even with Calvin Ridley there, the emergence of Kyle Pitts, he's still been able to hit this number handily. He's had 7, 7, 6, 9 targets over the last 4 games, so you're not seeing any dip in his usage. I know he's being used a lot as a running back, but that also allows him some opportunities for some dump-off passes in there. He's getting a lot of snaps. So I'm going to be riding with Cordero Patterson over 38.5 receiving yards.
Man, if someone told you before the year that week 7, your favorite bet of the week would be Cordero Patterson over receiving yards, I mean, I didn't even know this guy was going to be in the league early in the season. Crazy. I like it, though. Good call. For my favorite bet of the week, I'm going to be going to Patrick Mahomes over rush yards. We have 16.5 as the line right now. This line is criminal. Mahomes has been running more lately. I think he's kind of feeling the pressure of the weight of this Chiefs offense and this whole Chiefs team being on his shoulders. He has gone over 25 rush yards in 4 straight games, averaging 41 yards per game over that span. We just saw the Titans give up 26 rushing yards to Josh Allen on Monday night and 28 to Trevor Lawrence the week before. I think those are pretty comparable players. Josh Allen probably has a couple more design QB runs, but Mahomes definitely runs the ball a little bit more than Trevor Lawrence does, so I think that's a fair comp. Super high team total in this game, fast-paced game. I think this line is legitimately 6 to 7 yards too low. I am all over Patrick Mahomes over 16.5 rush yards. Favorite bet of the week.
I like that.
You get so fixated on these quarterback rush yards.
Dude, there's so much value on it. There's just the books just don't know how to set them.
I don't know. I think you were 0-3 last week.
0-3? What did I go? Oh,
Stafford, Rodgers, and then Tannehill over on Monday.
All right, well, this is a different handicap than the Stafford and the Rod. Stafford was under 2.5 rush yards. That's just. I'm going to play that again this week if they offer it too.
All right. Yeah,
All right,
he's gonna be throwing so many touchdown passes. He's not going to need to run, so that's a good one this week.
Perfect. All right, let's get to the best segment of the week. The segment that, you know, if you pop on this podcast, you can probably just fast forward to this segment and you'll make a ton of money. Our Chalk Donkey Parlay of the week. So this week's a little bit tough. We have a ton of favorites, but some of them are so big. Like the Cardinals are, what are they, minus 1,700 on the money line, minus 1,400. Like there's almost no point in even putting them in the parlay because they don't even change the odds.
Yeah, I got it. Don't worry. It's easy.
What do you have? It's going to be up for debate.
You go Packers, Patriots, Rams, and Bucks, and you get plus money. Bam. Easy.
Packers, Patriots, Rams, and Bucks gets you to plus 100.
And plus 106 on FanDuel.
All right. Dave, would you make any changes to that?
No, I think that's a nice chalk donkey parlay. The only other spot that you could really look at is the Ravens, but you can't go against my long shot, so I like it.
I wouldn't want to anyway. I don't think the Ravens money line is in play. I wouldn't even play them in teasers. I think they're probably going to win the game, but I think an upset is certainly live there.
Yeah, I haven't put them in any teasers either.
All right, that'll do it then. Packers, Patriots, Bucks, Rams, money line, chalk donkey parlay. We'll see if we can get that to 4-0.
Sweet.
All right, fellas. Rue, final thoughts, last words before we wrap it up?
Nope.
Dave?
No, I'm just excited for this week. I think we had some stinker games last week. I know there was not a lot of action in the witching hour of Red Zone, so I'm expecting big things here. Maybe some upsets, some great primetime games, although they've been pretty good overall. But other than that, thanks for having me on today, guys. It's been awesome. Everyone, make sure you give it a listen and a follow.
All right. Thank you, Dave, for coming on. We appreciate it, everyone. That is a wrap. Hope everyone has an awesome week 7. Any questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up on Twitter at BetRightPod. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Smash the like button on YouTube. The link to the YouTube video will be in the description of this podcast and will also be posted on our Twitter page at BetRightPod. From Jeff, Rue, and Dave, we are the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast because every time you bet with us, you bet right. Catch you next week.